Hello again, thanks for joining me. My name is Leigh Milne, this is the Wee Magic Podcast. I've got a bit of hay fever today, so please bear with me if there are any sniffles or congested sounding voices. Yeah, it's that time of year. Anyway, in today's episode, I'm going to speak about why I blocked one of the biggest names in magic. Now, there's a certain person in the magic world, pretty big name in the UK at least. You'll have seen this person on TV over the years. Not lots, but a few times. If I say this person's name, you'll know who it is straight away, so I won't say their name. But fair to say, the brief interactions I've had with this person have not been pleasant, and I really don't know why. I first met this person when I went to the Magic Circle for the first time. In 2012, I headed down from Glasgow overnight on a bus so that I could see a live show featuring Dynamo, who at the time had just exploded onto the scene. It was a massive deal. I was fairly new to Magic at that point. I was very excited and I managed to get tickets for this event. So I went along, stood outside the building, waiting for it to open after a day of walking around London. And by a day, I mean from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. that night, I just walked around London on my own. Periods of blasting hot sunshine, periods of pouring rain. I went to a cinema to avoid the rain, saw one of the worst movies I've ever seen, The Devil Inside. And then it was time to go to the Magic Circle. And when I got there, the first person I saw as I was queuing was this magician. And I said, oh, and said their name, and they said yes. And I went, oh, it's nice to meet you. And they went, are you here for the show tonight? And I said yes. And they said, do you have the VIP ticket? And I said no, just the standard ticket. And they said, oh well, you won't be seeing me again. And just walked off. And I thought, oh well. But at the time, I took that as a bit of playful banter. I thought, they're just being jovial. Just being a bit sarcastic, a bit sardonic, quite, trying to be funny. So laughed that off. But then over the next few years, there's a Facebook group you might be on called Magicians of Facebook. There's a UK version and I think there's an international version. And whenever I would post something on these pages, this person would comment to blast me, just to attack me in a way that they never did with anyone else that I saw. I'm not saying it never happened, it's just that I never saw it. And it's baffling. I don't know why it happened. I don't know if they think I'm someone else. If they've got a personal vendetta with whoever they think I am. It's not a person that, other than that very brief, forgettable encounter in 2012, we've never met. I mean, since blocking them, I've seen them at Blackpool several times. And I wonder, does that person know that I'm this person? Or does that person think I'm someone else? Or does that person think I'm the one that blocked them but I wasn't? Anyway, the point is, I use these magicians' Facebook groups for what I think they're intended for. You can comment on other people's posts offering advice and help, but you can also post yourself and ask for help and advice. So sometimes I post things asking for opinions really, or because I'm interested to see how different people do different work. So one of the first things I posted in this period that I'm speaking about was, how do you go about structuring your magic for table magic? Do you do 3 tricks then move on? Do you have a set of like 12 tricks? You do 3 at one table, 3 at the next table, 3 at the next table, and then after the 4th table go back to the start? Do you just mix it up? Do you just improv it like I do? I was just interested to see what was going on. Now this person instantly responded to that post saying, oh, you call yourself Scotland's magic sensation and you don't even know this basic stuff. First of all, I do call myself Scotland's magic sensation, but that's because a national newspaper called me at first and people were telling me, use that. So I took that advice. And it's just nice to have a name for the website, for branding, things like that. That's all it is. So the other thing was, this is what these Facebook groups are for, I'm led to believe. Or is it just so we can say, oh, I watched a lecture by this certain magician, tag you, and say, oh, it was wonderful, using the same 5 stock tricks you've used your whole career that you bought from a shop. Anyway, let's not get personal. However, this magician has said publicly that the only reason they got into magic was to make money. The only reason they've done magic for the last, I won't say how long, because that'll narrow it down even more, is to make money. That's all they're interested in, and fair enough. At least they're being honest, but let's not pretend you're the sage we should all look to for advice and mentorship when you're only about the money. I don't really find the two aligned. Maybe that's just me. Maybe you're thinking, well, good for this person. Good on them. But no, it's not for me. So anyway, they went on the big long rant about how I'm Scotland's magic sensation, and yet I don't know the basics. I was asking for, different opinions, but okay. And I should know better than this. I should have an act structured. I should have this. I should have that. You don't know me, right? You don't know what I do. You don't know how I work. And full disclosure, when I do a restaurant, when I go to my restaurant, do my residency, or go to a wedding or a corporate event or anything like that, which I do plenty of, I walk around tables and I improv it. I think, what would these people like to see? Would they like a really nice card trick? Something a bit classy? Do they seem more like they'd be up for a laugh? Something a bit cheeky? And I never use a sponge dong or anything like that. I don't think that's cheeky. I mean, it's fine for stag do's if that's your style. But anyway, once again, I'm getting off topic. But this person doesn't know what I do. Doesn't know who I am. Probably doesn't know what I look like other than from a, profile picture. But that wasn't an isolated incident. That was like the first of 3 or 4 times it happened in a short space of time. So by the 4th time I was like, you're getting blocked. I don't care if you've got this reputation of being this legend in magic. I find you a nasty piece of work who's for some reason targeting me. Maybe it's the Scotland thing. I don't know. Maybe they think I'm being too big for my boots by calling myself Scotland's magic sensation, which I've already gone through. Maybe it's a gender thing. Maybe it's an age thing. Maybe it's a background thing. I don't know. I really do not know why this person chose to just attack me from out the blue. No less than 4 times. And other people have commented on this person's replies saying things like, well, I don't think that was the advice Leigh was looking for. However, and then sort of like, not side with this person, but because it's a so-called legend, they're like, oh, I don't want to say anything to upset this person, don't want to get on the wrong side. So they're like, oh, however, I understand what you're saying. Yes, we could all do better, blah, 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 blah. That person could do better. I mean, the person I blocked. Anyway, the whole reason for this discussion is egos and magic. I almost died. My door just closed on its own. I almost died. Anyway, egos and magic. You sometimes meet a magician if you're doing a multi-person event where their ego's a bit like, they're a bit like arrogant, a bit aloof amongst the audience, amongst spectators, and that's whatever. I don't think you should be arrogant in any case, unless it's your character and it's like for comedy or you're pretending to be some sort of supreme mystic or something like that. But it's rare you see that in magicians working with the public. What I'm talking about is magicians' egos within magic. So if you go to Blackpool, 8 out of 10 people you'll meet, brand new, great, they'll talk to you, you'll have fun. Even people whose names you recognise from podcasts or shows, YouTube, anything, most of them will be friendly. You will get the odd 2 out of 10 who are not interested in speaking to you. They are, I don't want to say downright rude, but they are downright rude. That's if you don't fit their idea of who they want to be with, if you don't fit in their inner circle, then they don't have time for you. Unless you see them behind their dealer's table and they're like, oh, hi mate, do you want to buy this? Like, No, not after the way he spoke to me, no. Or rather, didn't speak to me. But thankfully, I do find it is quite rare. But it's still something that I felt needed to be addressed on the podcast because egos in magic, amongst magicians, when it is bad, it's really bad. I mean, there are reasons sometimes people don't want to speak to you. I met Andy Ryman at the bar in the Ruskin on the Friday night a few years ago, and I said to him, "Oh, do you know, I know he's a magic creator and a writer and an actor and all this stuff, but what I knew him from first was his appearance on Charlie Brooker's Screenwrite years ago. If you haven't seen the clip, it's hilarious. They're talking about the Christian Science puppet show, something like that, and it's really, really funny. So I spoke to him about that, and he's grinning at me like as if to say, right, okay, okay. But he wasn't rude. He was polite. He was friendly enough, but he was also waiting to get served at the bar. We both were. I didn't just go up to him and interrupt him, push him to the side, like, hey, wait a minute. But he was waiting to get served at the bar, and you know what it's like in the Ruskin on the Friday and Saturday night. Crazy. And he wasn't just buying a drink for himself, he had friends waiting. So situations like that I could understand if he was like, sorry mate, I'm just trying to get a drink. Do you mind if we catch up later or something like that? That would be fine. He didn't even do that. He just smiled and nodded politely, and there was nothing bad or rude or anything like that. It lasted a few minutes. The bartender came over and asked me what I wanted to drink. I said, serve your man first, Andy Lyman. And then that was it. That was the end of it. But I could understand if he had been a little bit short or curt or whatever in that situation, because there's 200 people standing at the bar, another 400 people trying to get into the Ruskin. He's got his group of friends waiting for a drink. He's trying to get served. He could have easily said, I don't really have time to talk right now, but thanks. But it's nice to meet you, or whatever. Or he could have just said, yeah, okay mate, 3 pints of Guinness please. But he didn't do any of those things and I would have understood in that scenario. So there are situations where you feel like, well, I don't know if that's ego or if it's just people are busy. Like when I met Craig Petty a few years ago, all good, all nice, friendly, shook his hand. And this was when he had just started his YouTube channel. And he's like, thanks for watching. His wife was like, oh, Leigh always posts really nice comments. He's really supportive of the channel. And he said, thanks very much, blah, blah, blah. And then the following year, by then his channel had exploded. And when I arrived, I walked into the dealer's hall and he was the first person I saw. I went up to speak to him, but he was like, oh, hi mate, and just shook my hand. Don't know if he remembered me or not, but he shook my hand and just left. He said, I'm in such a rush. Rushed off. That could have been seen as being rude, but it wasn't. He was just actually in a rush. But look, I've gone a lot of little tangents today, as I tend to do. Thanks for sticking with me. But what I really want to say is, remember, it's only magic, okay? You might have created the greatest magic effect in the world. You might have performed it. You might have performed for the King of England, who's, by the way, just another person. You might have performed for all these celebrities and well-known people and world leaders. It doesn't mean anything. It's just magic. I mean, it's cool. It's great to say, I've done this, I've done that. I performed for this person, I performed for that person, I was on this show, I had my own show, blah, 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 blah. It's all great. It's stuff you should be proud of, and it's stuff you should remember for the rest of your life. Hopefully you will. But it's also only magic, okay? So I feel like if someone's kind enough to come and say to you, oh, I saw you on blah, 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 or I use your effect, blah, 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 or I really like the way you blah, 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 take the time to be nice back and say, it's nice to meet you, thanks very much. If someone asks for advice on a Facebook group, if you can offer the advice, or if you can offer even some supportive words, go for it, do it, make the world a better place, make the world of magic a better place. Keep your ego in check, because we're magicians, but we're just magicians, you know? I mean, I don't mean that literally. I know a lot of people do great work for charities. I know a lot of people work as frontline workers. I know a lot of people work in retail and catering, put up with, you know, difficult customers and things like that. No one is just a magician, but you know what I mean. It's only magic. I hope you know what I mean. But this person that I blocked, yeah, I've got no interest in reconnecting with that person. Not that we ever connected really in the first place, but I'm fine with saying goodbye. Anyway, hit like, hit subscribe, watch another video, and thank you so much for joining me. If you're listening to this in the audio podcast, listen to another episode. And yeah, I think I'll only be doing like 5 or 6 episodes of this season. But I really appreciate you all listening, and get involved. Leave me a comment, send me an email, leave a comment on the YouTube video, leave a comment on the podcast, hit me up in the Facebook group, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.